Good evening, everybody. It's wee Paddy from across the Shuck, and this is a video response to Metal Complex, who put out a tag to a lot of us YouTubers, and he left an open tag for anybody to join in. And I'm hoping lots of people are going to join in because it's a really interesting tag, and he's titled it really nice and festively: Past, Present, and Future of our knife collection. And what you've got here in front of you is my past, and it's where I started. And I didn't start in a normal pocket knife type of way. As a young boy, I had a pocket knife. I joined the Sea Cadets when I was a young age, so I had a big heavy metal knife that the Sea Cadets use. I carried it for years and I loved it. It weighed as much, well, it's heavier probably than a buck 110, but it was a lovely big knife. I just loved it. A Maryland spike and all on it, so I used it for all sorts. Then I joined the services. I was in the services for about 12 years, and I only used knives as a function rather than, I was an electrician working on weapon systems. So I would have had a knife in my toolbox and I used it for work. That would have been it. I didn't carry a designated pocket knife. It wasn't until I later, probably quite a bit later, probably in my 40s, I started bushcrafting. And then I get into fixed blade Moras. This is the Hi-Q Robust. This is the older version. I've had this for donkey's years. This is an amazing knife, an amazing knife. If you want a knife for work, this is the one. It really is. It's my favourite Mora. I had my fire starter and all on it. I don't use it anymore now. I don't bushcraft anymore. But that was the knives that I would have used to go bushcrafting with. A fixed blade. That's what you wanted. But I also fished as well. So I remember my wife buying me this, and this is an old buck. And what was it? It is the buck. Let me see. It's the 279 with a gut hook and all on it. And I remember getting this, and this was expensive at the time. I remember getting this and thinking, oh, how cool is this? It was better than anything I'd ever seen at the time. Never used the gut hook except for cutting cord or string. I never used it to gut a fish, but I used this blade to gut fish. It's a lovely hollow grind, thin behind the edge. It was great. And even when I was just fishing for small trout, and you would eat a pound trout, this is what I would have used to cut it up. So this was my first adventure into a proper folding knife. And I remember it was quite an expensive knife, and it was I just felt lovely having it on my hips when I was fishing, or I used it for work, all sorts. But those were the two knives that sort of got me into the joy of having a knife as a tool. I'll move these all out of the way as I'm going. So then I decided, after getting the buck, now it was quite a while after getting the buck, my wife was asking me what I'd like for Christmas one year, and I said, I would love a pocket knife. But I didn't know which one I wanted, so I spent hours and hours and hours on YouTube. It was the first time I'd ever really used YouTube. I'm not a computer person, but I remember going on and looking for knives and looking at reviews. And the one knife that stuck out, which was quite expensive for me at the time to spend on a knife, I'd never spent anything like this, was a Delica. Now over here they're an awful lot more expensive than what they are in the likes of the States, but I remember telling my wife, after much checking, telling her that I would love the Delica, and she bought me it for Christmas. And this is the knife that started it all. But it was probably the most high-end one I had for a long time, because after paying that much money for it and using it, at the time, I realised, God, that's awful dear. And when I started YouTube, then I started looking on sites, and I started seeing cheaper knives. And people were telling me I could get cheaper knives in China because I didn't have a big budget. But by this stage, I was on a fixed income, so I couldn't afford a lot. I had about £10 a month, or £10 was it £10 a week? No, £10 a month. And I used to save up a couple of months to buy a half-decent knife or a couple of Ganzos, which is where this led me to. I can remember buying this and thinking, that's awful dear, I'm not going to do that again. And I found Ganzo, and this is the Ganzo knife. And this was my first video on YouTube, was saying that this Ganzo was the Delica killer. I mean, we all use this, and you come around and you think you're really sort of hitting the mark with this. And to be honest with you, if truth be told, if people out there knew the difference, they probably would choose this because it was so cheap. It was a sixth of the price, if not more, at the time. It's much cheaper now than it's about 8 times cheaper than a Delica now. But it is a smashing knife with 440C. It has all the attributes of this. The back lock, it's maybe not as smooth around the edges, but it's a great little knife. So this then moved away. This was my good knife, and I started using my Ganzos. And I just loved Ganzos. And I loved to find, because of my budget, and this is the whole joy of this. This is the past. Because of the budget that I had at the time, Ganzos, look at this. This is a PM2, which is my dream knife to have, which I eventually got gifted to me. But this, for years, done me as a PM2. This was just an amazing knife, 440C, so it was good steel, sharpened well. I could look after it, use it, and I used it when I was bushcrafting and all sorts. So, the Ganzos really opened my eyes to cheaper knives, and so I started my channel as a budget channel. Here's another great budget knife, the Ka-Bar Dozier. What an amazing knife. It's that same plastic handle, the same as the Delica, the same as the Ganzo. It's a plastic handle, Aussie blade steel, which was great. The hollow grind, which I loved. Great slicer, great little knife. I've had numerous of them and give them away. They are just great little knives. So I really was a budget channel, and I couldn't believe in the beginning that people, when I was watching the videos of the bigger channels, how much they were spending on knives. And I thought, you idiots, I've got these cheap knives and these will do me forever. Step on a couple of years, as we all do, and we move on, and you start buying knives that are a little bit dearer, and then a little bit dearer still. Now, some of these were gifts, but the most expensive ones, this last two, I bought these, and these were at a price that I thought I would never spend. Only an idiot would spend as good money on a knife that dear, and this is my present. This is where I am now. That, yes, I still love and I still get my Ganzos. I still get my San Remos and smaller knives, my Rough Riders. But this year I have, due to circumstances, I had a bit of extra money. I had a wee pension come in from the Navy and a lump sum from it. My parents have passed away over the last years, but we'd sold their property and we got a wee bit of money on that. And I was able to afford to buy more expensive knives, and I wanted to. That's the bit. I wanted to buy more expensive knives. So I started this year on a little expedition into GECs, into more expensive knives. This one I got and I adore. It's still one of my favourite GECs. But I've also got other brands, other like Queen cutlery and some that I haven't even showed yet. So I've really gone heavily into traditional and modern traditional, the Benchmade proper here, which I have modded. I've done my own mods on. I've tried different sharpening techniques and all these more expensive knives. And that's another part of and I really should have put some sharpening equipment, because that's been a big part of my knife progression, was learning that part of the hobby, how to get a knife sharp. I'd always been able to get my bushcraft knives sharp, but they're quite simple to do. It was harder, and it was more daunting when the knives were expensive and not a £20 Mora. So anyway, this is what I've sort of stepped up into this year. Now, this year I still have bought a lot of, the Ganzo type knives, the San Remos. I have bought them and I still buy them. And especially Rough Rider this year, I bought quite a few. I should again put down there. But I think you're getting the idea. I've now gone past the stage where that's too dear to spend for a knife. And if I have the money, which I've had this year, now next year I'm not going to have that surplus. And my wife's been very generous with me this year and let me get away with murder. And I've bought knives that I thought I would never buy at the price. So, especially this one, which is just, I mean, this is just a silly price for me. Do you know what I mean? This is just a price that is beyond what I ever thought I would spend on a knife. Am I glad I bought it? Oh, yes. It is a beautiful knife. Video recently of me cutting carpet with it. Um, and I've been sharpening it freehand, which I didn't think I would do, but I've done it. This Hinderer, this is to remind me of my dad. I bought this one. Absolute stunning knife, expensive. And again, all these knives are definitely more expensive over here than they are in the US. But I mean, these two were lovely gifts. The Para 3 has turned out to be. Now, I have to say, I went on a bit of a crusade against Spyderco when I first came around, because it was so cheap to buy this sort of knife over a proper PM. Now, just say it's a PM2, but this Ganzo, I thought, you know, God, you're just trying to rip us off. It's all the same materials, just different blade steel. It can't be that much dearer. Them arguments have sort of gone now, because the quality, obviously, of the knives that you're buying and the steels that you're buying. This one's an M390. It's a bento box, you know, an exclusive. This is 20CV. This is S35VN, and so is this S30V, and this is just a carbon steel 1095. So, I mean, I have now get into steels, which I never thought I would get into. And I suppose when you come around and you're on a budget, you do think all these things are unattainable. I was enjoying my knife as a budget knife man. I really was enjoying it. You know, and then you start to find knives, like these budget knives. I mean, this is the Hen and Rooster. It's a budget knife. It's a big trapper. You know, it's got well, it's not advertising, but advertising Christmas. But I mean, I was happy in my world as a budget man until probably I bought this here, and this really did change my view. It was lovely getting gifts that were dear, but to actually put your own money into it, really, a Hinderer XM18, and this is the Slippy. It is just the most stunning, and it's UK legal over here, which not all my knives are, but this is one, and this is one that I'll carry, and I do carry regularly. Love this knife. This knife I've been carrying more and more, and especially now I've got a caravan. I bought a caravan this year, or we did as a family, I should say, and because it's private ground, I can wear what I want down there. I can put these on in my pocket and stand around the caravan park down around the beach. And that's lovely to have the ability to do that legally. Slip joints, really getting into, because I love the history. I really do love the history. The modern ones, it's just modern history of an old knife. And it's lovely to see the way that they're actually transforming how they act. And people are now, there is a bit of a craze. I don't know how long it'll last, but there's so many makers making slip joints now, which I've never done before, which is marvellous. Do you know what I mean? It gives us more choice as knife nerds, which I now am definitely a knife nerd. As for making videos, look, I love making videos. I'm not one for making notes. I don't make any notes. All my videos are done one take. Sometimes it takes 3 times to do it, but the likes of this video, I don't do notes. I just go in and I enjoy, because I enjoy talking about something. I don't tend to run out of words. Maybe there's a wee bit of Irish in there too. But like Metal Complex, just to go back to the fellow who started this, I could listen to that man all day long. He has a natural ability to keep my attention, and that's wonderful. And there's so many people like that. And there's also people out there who are not great orators, but you can feel the passion. You can feel the passion when they're talking about their knives. And that's the important part that I find, is the passion. You have to have passion for the knives. Otherwise, it comes out very quickly, and you'll see people come and go. And to me, it's just that lack of passion. To go and spend this amount of money, you have to have passion. Either that, or you've just got too much money, and that's all right if you have, don't get me wrong. I mean, Alex's Knife Box, shout out to Alex. I love his channel. Some of his knives, he done one of these. You have to go and see it. I'll put his name down below as well. You have to go and see his. They're just amazing, just pieces of cutlery beyond anything I'll probably ever get. But I'm never saying never anymore, because I've sort of proved myself wrong. So I'm going to move these out of the way. And these are just beautiful knives that has been my present, especially this year. And I've been very fortunate, much like Metal Complex. I have very loyal and generous subs on my channel who have just been so generous in giving me knives for the channel, gifting me knives, and not just cheap knives, expensive knives. So I am very fortunate, and it's the reason that I love this community, because the give and take and payback is just wonderful. It really is. And I can communicate with people all around the world on a subject we all love, and nobody is left out. If you're just a budget channel, that's fine. I found as a budget channel, the amount of the more upper class and the established channels give me so much help and encouragement along the way. And it does make you progress into it. And it does help you justify and work out, well, what do I want to buy on my budget? And I was able to do that and do it quite comfortably. You don't have to get in debt. You can keep budget if that's where your budget does. Mine sort of increased this year. I was able to step up and get some really nice knives. This year it's not going to be, I'm not going to have as much money, which is absolutely fine. It really is, because the quality, when I started, Ganzo was the quality budget knife, and it was a great quality. There was nothing wrong with it. It was great quality, but that has changed this last year. The amount of knives that are coming out, all right, they're a bit more expensive than Ganzo, but they're not as expensive as Spyderco's and things like that. And one of them in particular is Civivi. Now, I haven't showed this knife yet. I'm going to do a video of it very shortly. I was supposed to do it yesterday. I never got around to doing it. Civivi are just making knives that are unbelievable for the price. This is absolute wyvern. This is a stunning knife. Absolutely stunning. I just love it. Its action is unbelievable. I love the fish scales on it, or dinosaur scales, whatever you want to call them. This is like, wait for the review on this. This is just out of this world. And it's a budget knife. Now, the other things that I'm going to be going for this year is probably more Civivis, and Drop is another place where you can buy really, really high-end knives at really affordable prices. And you get copies of, some of these designs, some of these top makers. You're getting a copy of what they have as a custom knife. I just got this on Black Friday. Look at this. Look at that, a Gavco. Now, it's not made by Gavco, but it's made by WE. And let me tell you, I don't think he himself could do much of a better job than the WE knife. Look at that blade shape. Look at that belly. Look at the handle. Titanium S35VN. And do you want to know something? This cost me the same price as I would pay for a Delica over in the UK. And I got this delivered to the UK. Same price as this, delivered. What would you rather have? I ask you. There's not a, this is a great knife, but look, it doesn't even come close to comparing with the action and materials in this here. It really doesn't. This is just a stunning knife. So I'm going to try more Drop knives this year. Now, I'm saying I'm going to try more. I've no idea how many more I'm going to try. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep with my Rough Riders. I'm going to keep with maybe GACs, and maybe try different brands of pocket knives. I've got a great selection now. I keep meaning to do an updated video because I really have grown it this year. But the other thing that I wanted to do again was a bit controversial. Clone knives, knives from China that they make as clones, and I like comparing them to the real thing. I'll never sell them on. I don't even give them away, as gifts, unless it's to somebody I know who would never think of doing that. So this is one I've just got, and this is scary. It's scary, but also really good if you're... Look, there's lots of people out there. It's all right for me to say, don't you buy that because that's a clone. Don't you buy it from China. Look, years ago, the Chinese knives were all, don't buy Chinese knives. Now, most knives that people are buying are Chinese. So I'm not of that opinion. If somebody's trying to sell a clone, that's disgusting. It should never happen. But you're never going to stop the likes of China making clone knives. They'll always do it. They always have. They don't have our same laws or thought processes even. I just received this. I just came back to the weekend. I'd forgotten I'd ordered it. I must have ordered it one night, as I tend to do on AliExpress. This is a copy. Oh, I didn't have that night. Oh, I did have it. There it is, yeah. This is a copy of the Benchmade Proper. Is it a perfect copy? No, but it's a pretty good copy. That is my Carta. It's a bit lighter and dark. It's, you know, there's more striations in that. If I didn't know it, yeah, I could probably convince a complete stranger that is. So it will never get passed on to anybody. I got it just to do a comparison, and I also want to try some mods on it as well. But this is, you know, I don't mind doing things like this. I don't mind, because I know there's people that are my subs who will not afford, they'll not spend more than £30 on a pocket knife. They just won't. They love watching the channel, they love watching different knives, but they'll not spend any more. And a lot of them are pensioners. I don't know whether anybody else, I have an awful lot of pensioners who just enjoy the hobby for watching other people getting and enjoy. And I know there's a few of mine have even sent me knives, and God love them, that, you know, they can't afford the knives that I'm getting. Do you know what I mean? So I love getting things like this. And then people who I know that are on my channel, no, they don't have to worry about it. They'll see this review that I'll do on this. Look at the centered on that. It is absolutely stunning. It really is. So I have one person in mind, well, actually that's a lie, I have quite a few in mind, even over here in Northern Ireland, who would love to buy something like this. And they're just probably waiting for somebody to do a review on it and let them know that they're going to be okay. The review of this will be coming up, and I'll be doing it against the Proper and showing what a bargain this is. I mean, the Proper costs about £130. This costs £15 delivered to your door. £15. I've no idea what the steel is. It has a screaming edge on it. It is made, it just feels like a Proper everything. 15 quid. So I don't mind doing the odd one of those for people on my channel who don't have the money, but who would like the feeling, or if they would like to try one out. And maybe, like me, I tried all these things out and then eventually bought the real thing. Because there's probably HCR13 in that. It'll not hold an edge like my Proper will. It's not going to be as good a fit and finish as my Proper. But to be honest with you, so far, I can't believe how good it is. It scared me. So, there you go. That's my future. I know it's a wee bit controversial with this side of it, but I've always done that. Every now and then I'll just get something and throw it out there. But there's people out there who will buy cheap knives from China, and why shouldn't they? If you can't afford the real thing, you just have to buy what you've got. You know what I mean? That's life. But for me, I want to try Civivi, a bit of drop. And this knife here is my Christmas present. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's another blooming expensive knife. But I didn't buy this. My wife bought this for me. And I've not been allowed to have it until Christmas. So that's killing me because I'm dying to get. I have wanted this knife for so long. So there we go. And I'll tell you what, here's a bit of a Christmas bonus. Whoever can guess what this knife is, if you put the name of what your guess is, one guess per person, obviously it's a Spyderco, it's not a bluff, it is a Spyderco. Whoever, maybe there'll be 20 people who'll get it. I'll just do a wee draw for that 20 people and I'll give them a knife. I'll do it on Christmas Day and I'll send them a knife. For guessing the correct answer. So there we go. That's a bit of a Christmas cheer. And that's what this community does all the time. And in the future, that's what I want to see. I want to be able to give more knives away. And I have knives now that I've collected up that my subs have given me from the first year I was doing it. And I'm sort of going to put this out there for any subs who have given me knives, you know, probably going back a bit. If it's all right with you, I'd like to pass them on to other people who have just started channels to give them a go, because my knives that I bought are mostly budget, and the ones that you sent me are above that basic budget knives, a lot of them. But even a new channel that's starting up, budget knives are great to have. It fills in, it gives you something to talk about and keeps your channel going. So if you have given me knives, I always said I'll keep gifts, but if you've given me knives in the past and you don't mind me passing them on to somebody else who's just started. It'll be YouTube channels. It's not going to be just the people. I want to give them away to YouTube channels because I had so much pleasure out of them, and they're still good enough for them to have so much pleasure. So if you have, let me know, and keep it private. PM me or just put it in my Instagram, where I'm quite active normally. I haven't been recently. I really need to get back into that starting tomorrow. So there we go. The future is looking good. The future is exciting. Thank you so much to Metal Complex. Great idea for a video. I have really went on far too long, but I've enjoyed it. It's nice to chat. Have a wonderful Christmas to all my subs. An amazing Christmas. Spend it with family and friends. And God bless you all. Thank you so much for a great 3 odd years in this community and for everything you have done for me. And even just, no, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so, so much. I genuinely mean that. And I'm looking forward to another year of collecting pocket knives. That's all they are, pocket knives. Take care. Paddy's gone. Cup of tea time.